Happy Friday, everybody. It is so great to see you. If you are watching along in the premiere, make sure you are chatting. That's right. Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific and 5 p.m. Eastern, we are gathering as a community. I'm actually taking this week off from the roll and spin as we get ready for Series 2 of Scrap Masters. But I want to teach you all what I've been learning as I've been rebuilding. That's right. Right through this doorway is the design floor where I've actually disassembled the first 24 weeks, put them all back together now, and we're going to sew those blocks into rows, those rows into a quilt, and make that quilt today while we're all visiting and chatting and catching up with our wonderful quilting community. So are you ready? Let's get started. Well, welcome back, folks. And that is right. I'm super excited to see all of you out there. 82, almost 83,000 subscribers. And it is such a blessing to be part of this cool quilting community. Scrap Masters Unite. We have had so much fun putting it all together. And I'm so excited that, yes, I pushed through from 24 blocks into 34 blocks, 5x7, awesome layout. And I'm going to be zipping back and forth to build the blocks today. And as I've got a bunch of information that I've been just kind of capturing on my iPhone as I've been working through in the creative process, it was super easy to disassemble the quilt. I actually took it apart into 6 rows of 4 blocks because I knew I didn't have to disassemble everything. I just wanted to get a few of the new blocks in and out of the quilt just so the colors look great. And now check this out. You can already see on the floor by using a black and gray photo the balance or the weight of the blocks, light to dark, traveling from top to bottom. That's evident. There's some little pop out, stand out things, which is what makes our eye jump around, which is really cool. Yeah, I said it. A jump around. A jump around. I shouldn't be allowed to do that. And anyway, so it's going to be really cool. So 1/4 inch seam allowance. The iron is hot. I'm going to grab the first block because I'm just going to add blocks to rows, easy top to bottom, starting with the oranges. I've got my current block and my next block with me. So this should be a pretty easy row. And then I'm just going to set them and put all the rows back together. Benefit is I still have all the small patchwork blocks to line up. I will be looking for any seams. Let me drop my needle down. I will be looking for any seams that did kind of come apart while I was disassembling the rows. But I do believe we're learning here together that sewing is therapy, and actually it's the sewing itself, not the finishing, I think, that most of us are truly after. So I've gotten into knitting because I can knit, take it apart, and use the same yarns for a different project, maybe a better fitting project, whatnot. So this is kind of what I'm learning with my patchwork. The best part of not having a plan with this project is I like the way that the current plan is coming together. Okay, so we, like I said, just going to add on the next block. And this is uniform, universal, but I am going to take a moment and press the seam where the seam was stitched together before. So just kind of cleaning up the block, let's say. Okay, and now I'm just going to kind of give a nice gentle press, a little light steam to the whole row as it's been remanufactured. I don't know if I'll be able to pay attention to trying to reset the seams so that I can technically nest the rows together, nor is it really going to be all that important. I'm going to lay it as it is because I know that top red corner, red and orange and yellow, is my uppermost corner. So that will help me stay organized as I work through. Got lucky on this one. I only have to add one block, and I did intentionally take the time to make sure within the project, because this one was one of the split blocks, that I do have the colors correct. I checked that on the design floor in there so that my blues travel into the next row, greens coming down. Again, I'm going to do the same thing, but I think I'm going to be able to keep a little bit of track here. So just for the moment, I'm going to rotate this row. I'm going to tidy it up. And yes, I'm going to now put these two rows together to really secure where I'm at in the design visually. It'll help me make sure I don't get disorganized as I bring the row by row, block by block in here as I'm working on this rebuild of the new Scrap Masters. And I'm very excited. Next week we will start up Series 2. And if you didn't know, or if you're just starting to follow along, it's a random scrap block generator, which allows us to have something to sew on when we don't know what to sew. And we roll a die to pick one of 6 pattern pages, spin the wheel for the color, and then roll a 20-sided die to choose how many different fabrics we can use from our scrap pile. So what I'll be doing is refreshing my scrap pile to make sure I have plenty of fun fabrics, but they all work together. And then as we roll, if you're working with the original patterns, continue if you wish, because all I'm doing is changing out the pattern pages so that way the count or the number system or whatever you want to use can stay with whichever series, or if you want to add in the series of patterns, whatever you want to do. And that's the super fun about this quilt or quilts or quilting community that is growing organically as we make this project together. I feel so excited to be part of this. Okay, now I'm just going to put these together again, just watching patch by patch. And that's why the new blocks, Series 2, are really written into the 2.5-inch square pieces like this. Blocks will still finish at 12.5 into the sections here. What have I got? Thread caught. Okay, stitches are holding. Carry on, carry on. Now, what I can see happening here, this is where something went south, the seam ripper or whatnot. So because it's a quilt, I'm just going to account for that, meaning that I'm going to be able to quilt. If I see a little hole later, because I'm quilting my own quilt, a little batting popping through or whatever, I can adjust for that. But that little bit of sewing there should have just captured that. So that's what I meant earlier by paying attention to all of the seams as I go. What could have happened with all that seam ripping I was doing? I actually remember that square. It was actually cut when I started the project. Not claiming perfect seam ripping, but I am saying that I have a cool seam ripper video coming out soon. Seam ripper skill sets. Well, it's part of it, folks. It is part of what we do here. Take a moment right now and press out the seam, or I should just say press the seam. Also, it's a good time to check to see if there's any spaces that didn't connect. And now, like I said earlier, I know that this is that top area, right? So I'm going to be adding everything as I go now to this side. So that allows me the comfort to come here and pin it to the wall, knowing that I'll be adding my next piece right here. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna go get that ready. And while I'm doing the sewing, you know who's coming. That's right. He'll be here in a moment to talk to you about what's coming up next this week. Well, it's almost like I get the impression you don't even want me here. And these folks love the announcements. I'm going to sing the song again if he keeps doing that. I tell you what I'm going to do. Folks, it is wonderful to see you. And we are so incredibly excited about this whole Scrap Masters random scrap block generator. It has been incredible to have all of you sewing along with us on the Facebook group. Please join us over there. There are 3 questions you must answer, or I'm not going to let you in. I'm the gatekeeper. I take the job incredibly seriously, and we just want to make sure we're keeping our quilting community safe here, because it's all about encouraging each other and inspiring each other, and we're having a blast. I should apologize to all of you who have been posting your photos to Block, Mark, and Mona, and everybody else out there on your projects. Super cool sewing machine swap going on. I just got a little distracted, and with everything that was actually going on with the travel and the filming and everything, the way I set up the last few weeks of videos, I really appreciate it. I asked you all to continue to post your photos to encourage others, and you've risen to the occasion. Thank you so very much for that. This is going to be fantastic. I want to let you all know, coming up like literally just around the corner, especially for the locals there in the little town of Texas, the annual outdoor Quitman quilt show, mouthful, yes, it's awesome, and it's coming up Saturday, November 1st. So I'm jumping on an airplane in just a few days to fly out there, be part of the shop all week. We're going to work on a bunch of amazing new, super fun content. Folks, make sure you are following Stitchin Heaven on Instagram, Facebook, that's right, TikTok. We're going TikTok famous, folks. And again, also the shorts here on YouTube. We're having a wonderful time creating the little 1-minute reels, the little short form videos, and having fun, both just goofing off, but also promoting our education, our cruises, our block of the months, our special events, all those kinds of things. So I want to talk quickly about some of the things that are happening along those departments here in the next few minutes. So yes, the quilt show is November 1st. Outdoor quilt show. It is one of the best ways to view your quilts ever. I love being able to walk amongst the quilts, watching them blowing in the breeze out in the trees. The lighting's incredible early in the morning. If you're into photography, come out early in the morning. It's awesome. But we're also having our annual sale because we celebrate the birthday of Stitchin Heaven. So November 1st is also our site-wide and store-wide, with a few little exceptions to a few products we are not allowed to discount, 29% off. How cool is that? 29 years, 29% off. Folks, take advantage of it. So do your shopping online November 1st if you're not close. And of course, if you're close, make sure you come to the quilt show. Enjoy everything else the town of Quitman is doing around the event, and make sure you go shopping and get your 29% off for the 29th birthday party for Stitchin Heaven. I can't believe they're that old, but I mean, I'm not. So obviously it makes sense that I'm simply an employee and not the founder, right? Anyways, moving on. And also some of the other things that we are super excited to do, and why I've been playing so much lately with the different color shirts, is you are able to get your shirts, your kits, but most important, sign up for free with your email for the New Year's Day sew along. We have 2 different versions, the Carefree Quilter and or my wonderful friend Tiffany Hayes is very passionate about her precision. And if you haven't watched us in the years in the past, New Year's Day in the morning is a live sew along that goes for about, I think, 5 hours, where we will walk you through a mystery quilt project. Now, I encourage you to buy the kits, because the kits come pre-cut and ready to start with us right then and there, because we know how busy the holidays can get. This year, I'm using some of the fabrics from my newest Worlds collection, which is a Benertex fabric line, which I'm super excited about. It's part of my installment of all of my tonal geometrics. And then of course, Tiffany Hayes is using her Island Batik batiks that are glorious in their colorway as well. So it's really fun. This year, we're both offering in the pre-cut kits to follow along if you wish. Of course, you can work from your stash, but we're both working from our stash, our fabric lines, which I think is super, super awesome. We are also hosting a retreat on site at Stitchin Heaven in Quitman, Texas. Let me slow down. The coffee's kicking in. December 31st through January 3rd. And that is a overnight stay, super fun in-person retreat. Now, Tiffany and I are not teaching at the retreat. We're there to do the live sew along. And so just to be clear, we will not also be trying to do the live sew along while you retreaters are having fun. But I am there that whole week goofing off, and I don't have much to do other than just do the live sew along. So do come to the retreat. I promise to be hanging out. And that is December 31st through January 3rd in Quitman, Texas. And of course, there's always links in the description below for all of this kind of stuff. Last but not least, of course, you know, as we talk about some of the things that we just have been dreaming about, the Icon Quilt Cruises, 3 different opportunities we have, and those start up in January. So we're getting pretty close, I think, to where we need our final registrations, final payments to make sure we have everybody's cabins and sewing machines and goodie bags and all of that set up and all ready to go, because we do work with Royal Caribbean and they need all of the information in early. So if you haven't looked lately at our awesome cruise page at stitchinheaven.com, please do check it out and consider going on one of the 3 Icon cruise ships by Royal Caribbean with us teaching quilting on board. It is an incredible, talk about a dream vacation, folks. Not only are we going to incredible places with awesome instructors, but we're also working on great quilt projects. Again, those quilts are made as kits and pre-cut to make it convenient. You're not required to get those quilt kits, but it's often recommended just so that you can come on board and take advantage. And this is one of the questions we often get is, what are we forced to choose between quilting and all the other cruise board activities? Not really, unless you need to learn how to fold your towel into some sort of shape of an animal. Those things go on during the day. Martini making maybe during the day. Yeah, it's a cruise. But for the most part, we are teaching the quilting while we are cruising from destination to destination. The classroom happens to be open 24/7, so you're welcome to do what sewing you want to whenever you want to. But the instructors like myself, we're off having a great time when we're in these awesome places. That's why we're on board as well. I mean, we're there to teach quilting. Of course we are. So if you're either dreaming of a quilting adventure at sea, or maybe one in Texas, or maybe even a sewcation, consider us, check us out, stitchinheaven.com, and see what all we have to offer. You know, speaking of dreaming, I have been dreaming of what to do with the free motion machine quilting as soon as I get this Scrap Masters Series 1 project finished out. Like, how am I going to quilt it? It's one of those things that could be keep me up at night, but oh, well. But I don't have to dream any longer, because folks, here it is, all quilted out.
Hey, well, dream
fantastic.
no longer there, handsome. Look what I've got here, folks.
Really, I think you should
the quilted
really
version.
Go ahead and take it over from here, man.
Yeah,
thanks for the
don't
announcements.
forget, but let me take it from here.
The grateful list yet? And then
I got it.
Yeah, that's right. And don't forget,
would you look at this, folks? Yes, all quilted up. I'm super excited, super blessed, and that does truly bring us to item number 1 on the grateful list. Let me see if I can just throw this here real quick so you can maybe enjoy some of the quilting up close. Who knows what's really being captured in these cameras today. Scrap Masters Series 2. Starting next week, but the patterns are here for all of you. Grateful list number 1. Scrap Masters Series number 1. All of you and all of your participation, oh my goodness, it's been fantastic. The Boneyard bundles have been a huge blessing, super fun. Yes, I'm talking to the events team about doing some sort of live sew along, like where we just roll and sew all day long. I think it's going to be incredible. I'm so happy I went to 35 blocks on this particular project. There is a official list,
and all of the pattern pages for Series 1 and now Series 2 over on our Facebook group, So Well Rob Appell. Make sure you are go ahead and participate over there. It's incredible. So I've had just so much fun, and I've learned so much working on this project. I did learn that it was important to organize my fabrics and my colors and my scraps, both in size and color, to make it efficient to work with. Not all scraps are meant to be stitched together to make a single quilt. Color curation made this so much better for me, and I worked through that early on. Having the blocks and the pieces and looking for contrast in the blocks once I see them going together, I love it. Those of you who inspired me with the dual color blocks and things, I can't remember if that was Mona or Patty. One of you out there, I think, did a dual color block early on. And so I've learned that what I really want to say is having no plan was the best plan ever. It was a crazy idea, but it went beautiful. And I am so very fortunate. So yeah, item number 1 on the grateful list was Series 1 Scrap Masters moving into Series 2 for all of you. And I just dropped a hint on item number 2, which is crazy ideas. And crazy idea of this week, folks. Well, and it's not been just this week, but I've been thinking of it for a while here. Come on, beautiful, here we go. I like to use and if you don't, I have a really cool video out there on how to do your binding 100% by machine. And one of the things I love to do is wind my binding onto a spool and then put my spool onto my thread spool holder so that it can feed onto my machine as I'm stitching the binding on. Like I said, a whole video about that, super cool. But I like to tinker. I'm a bit of a tinker fairy, if I may. And so what I wanted to build was a hands-free way to press my binding and wind it at the same time. Now, my son has this awesome 3D printer, and so we created this spool with a gear set that locks in here, and then a little rubber stopper. I mean, it's not completely, it's not rocket surgery here. And then a little belt buckle, which will keep the binding straight as it goes through. Now, I've already pressed this one a million times as I've been practicing with it. So you'll have to forgive me that it is already pressed over in half. It would normally be laying this way, right? And then, so here it would be, right? Then I could have my iron and hands free. I just got to watch out it doesn't take off and go racing away. So those of you who know out there, my dear friend Carl Sass, dear friend to many of you, has been working on his wonderful Singer 301 sewing machine rebuilds. And so in doing so, I asked him if I could have a motor and a foot control to build the binding winder. Now, I didn't realize how cool this could be, but I think I'm going to set it up so maybe it hangs underneath my table and will do the job but not be in my way. So I'm super excited about the motorized binding winder. Yet another crazy idea that happened out in the garage, having a good time working and tinkering about. This is what, like I said, I love to do and why I feel so blessed to be part of this wonderful, wonderful sewing industry as well. Now, item number 3 on the grateful list is I've been talking about this wonderful new team we have working together. You've been seeing the awesome short form videos and all of that. So yes, like I said, please follow us along on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, here on YouTube for the shorts. But it's also really allowed me to be hyper creative and productive. What an incredible couple weeks it's been. So yes, I got the quilt quilted. I actually even made another video on seam ripping because I took the whole thing apart block by block so I could rebuild it. And I think that was an important skill set to have as well, which was really neat. And I tried to get some decent footage. It is the disadvantage of being my own cameraman. Unfortunately, a bunch of it is out of focus, but I think you can still see and hear what I'm doing. So we'll look for that video coming up in the near future. I'm also working on a really super cool new applique pattern that will feature all of what we're calling the anthology, which is the new and newer and newest world's fabrics by Benartex. Now, coming back all the way around to still on number 3 grateful, But back to number one, grateful, is the Scrap Masters. The next line of fabric I'm coming out, I did just receive some of my sample yardage, and I will be showing you really soon, but they're what I like to call low volume neutral. So they're kind of light backgrounds with brighter colors printed on top of them with a lot of background showing. Right now, I'm considering, as I rebuild my Scrap Master scrap pile, working in all of Series 2 so that the contrast in the blocks will be between the low volume neutrals and my super brights, and I'll work more monochromatic block by block per week per roll. I don't know. I'm considering it right now. I want to chop up some of that other fabric and put it next to my scrap pile and see how it really blends together. Like I was saying, not all scraps play well together. And what I don't want to do is lose the fun integrity of the design of the new blocks, which is super exciting. And it's been allowing me to get hyper creative and hyper focused, which really brings me to item number 4. One of the things I love to do while I'm working with my hands is listen to audiobooks. So I've been exploring a lot of new information, a lot of new knowledge, some self-help kind of stuff, some mental health kind of stuff. And it's really helping me understand more of what makes me tick or twitch or whatever, whatever makes me me. And really enjoying tuning into those things. And again, the creative process is so good for me. And I think it's so good for all of you out there that are following along and understanding that this quilting thing is so deeply important for our hands to be moving so that we can settle our brains, we can process each day. And I think that's why Deb originally named this show So Well, as in a wellness. And of course, no doctor here, but certainly a professor of the inspiration and benefits of working with my hands. How's that sound? I don't know. Anyways, I am so happy to have all of you here again for week 36, the final showdown of the Scrap Masters project. Folks, go ahead and start downloading your Series 2 pattern. There's some great blocks in here. You're going to love it. And we will start rolling and spinning our way to a fantastic new project, however you choose to do it, next week. Because remember, there is only one rule here, and that is there are no rules. Folks, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Oh, and don't forget. Don't forget. Stay well.
I knew you were going to do that, right?
I had to beat you to it, didn't I? See ya.